So all right. We'll start with now. We have discussed about Fen. Fen is already what we started and we discussed. In the last session we got this already. 2 Fens created. One Fen client is for calling the friend microservice. Other one is to call the plan microservice. Like that, 2 Fens we created. One is a friend Fen and other one is a plan Fen. Okay, 2 Fen clients. One is friend and other one is plan. Okay, now right. These are the 2 Fen clients that we have created. One is friend Fen and next one is plan Fen. 2 Fen clients we created. Now coming to today's point of view. Now today we focus on tracing a request in microservices. So we would like to know when a request sent in to either from UI application or from one microservice to other. For a request, what are the microservices executed, and how much time spent on each path of the microservice. Now nothing but what we like to trace out. We will like to trace out the request in microservices. Now we like to trace the request in microservices. Okay, now that is actually what we are discussing in the session today. That is called what tracing the request in microservices. Right. Let's find out how to trace out. With the help of this information, now we can find out how much time is taken at each path of a microservice. Okay. At each path of a microservice, how much time is taken, and also is finding about I can also tell you something like so that necessary actions will be taken, like why the path of microservice is taking more time. So that the application performance can be improved. So tracing of requests in microservice is also important, right? So for tracing out, we have to use 2 components. One is Sleuth and another one is Zipkin. Zipkin is a third-party server. And the Sleuth is an API. This Sleuth is a component. We use a Sleuth library from Spring Cloud. So what happens now? This Sleuth is going to add some additional log statements. What happens when we add a Sleuth component? For each request, there will be a trace ID created per request. For each request, a trace ID will be created. And the other thing is, for each path of microservice, a span ID is created. For a request, for example, 10 microservices are executed. Means in each microservice, a path of endpoint of a microservice is executing. So now what happens? So for a request, there is a request trace ID. The trace ID is common until the response sent back to the client. For each request, a trace ID, and for each endpoint, there is a span ID, right? So finally, what is happening here? As you can see, what is happening now? For example, if a request is traveling through, for example, 5 microservices, because the request is same request, trace ID is common, but in each microservice it is executing a different endpoint of that microservice, and that is the reason why it is going to be a span ID. Span ID different from one microservice to other microservice. These trace IDs and span IDs are generated by sleuth component. Even we can also find those logs on the console. Generally what happens now, with the only logs we can't, when the number of requests are coming to microservices, identifying those logs and all is difficult. Means finding the information on the console through logs is very difficult, and that is the reason why there is a server created that is called Zipkin server. I would like to tell you. Okay, this is called Zipkin server. So Zipkin is actually third-party server. What happens now? Zipkin will store, means all these logs are exported to Zipkin. Zipkin server has a in-memory database, which means it's going to store all these logs in a cache or in a memory or whatever it is. Okay, will store in memory, and it will analyze based on trace ID what are the microservices executed, and which parts of the microservices are executed for each request, and will provide a like a dashboard, a UI page, and in that UI page it is easy to find out which microservices are for each request. I hope you are understanding what I am saying now, right? And we are now discussing about which point now. Okay. Right, that's what we are discussing now. So Sleuth and Zipkin we use combinedly. Sleuth will generate trace IDs and span IDs and will export those logs to Zipkin server. Next, Zipkin is going to analyze the logs based on the trace IDs in the memory, and will provide a dashboard to the developer, to the admin otherwise, so that through the dashboard it is easy to find out how many milliseconds spent on each part, totally how much time is taken, which microservice are executed, which parts of the microservice, and with that it is easy to identify for a request which microservices are executed, and how much time is taken to process that complete request, and at each microservice, at each path of the microservice, how much time is spent for executing it, how much time. So today we will conclude it by using this Sleuth and Zipkin together. First we do one thing, we create a Zipkin server. In the Zipkin server we are going to add some, we are going to add a what dependency. The dependencies are not Spring Cloud dependencies, they are Zipkin dependencies. Zipkin is a third-party API. We use third-party API, okay? Right. So first we have to create a new Spring Starter project, but in this project we are going to add Zipkin dependencies, okay? I will like to tell you what are the Zipkin dependencies I'm going to add first. Zipkin is a third-party API. That group ID is io.zipkin. We have Zipkin server dependency, Zipkin server UI dependency. I will copy them and I will show you, okay? So Zipkin server first we create, and Zipkin server port number, and Zipkin context path if you want, then context path. Those things we are going to add. And there is no relation between Zipkin server and Eureka server, okay? Eureka, Zipkin are independent. There is no, connectivity between Zipkin server and Eureka server. No connectivity between Zipkin server and Eureka server, okay? And I would like to tell you no connectivity between Cloud Config server and Zipkin server. So Zipkin, Zuul, Zipkin is independent from Zuul, independent from Eureka and the Cloud Config server. Okay, because only whatever the logs are exported, it will store them and it will analyze them, and will finally provide a UI dashboard. Through that developers can see. Through the dashboard, developers can find out what are the microservices executed and which parts of microservices are executed. All that information is provided in that, okay? That is actually what happening here. I will start now explaining to all of you. I would like to explain you. So observe it very clearly. Right. Let's move on. So first I'm going to start a new Spring Starter project. Here first I would like to add some application in name can be needed like a Zipkin server I'm adding. com.micro.zipkin. So here we are going to use Spring Web dependency because we need a server, no Zipkin server. So web dependency is required. But we need Zipkin server dependency. See, if I add, for example, Zipkin, if I use the word Zipkin, only Zipkin client is there. Means client dependency is there. That's for tracing. But we don't have any Zipkin server dependency. So because Zipkin server is a third party, that's the reason why we are not adding anything. It's only Spring Web dependency we are going to add. It's not going to connect with any database, not related with the Zuul or not related to config server, nothing. So just only web dependency we add. Okay, Spring Web dependency. Next later we add Zipkin dependency separately. That's the third party dependencies you have to add manually. I will show them what are the dependencies. Next, finish. So now you have the point here. Listen, everyone. Okay. Okay. Now this is Zipkin server. In the Zipkin server, we have the pom.xml. In the pom.xml, we are going to add some Zipkin dependencies. So only Spring Web dependency is added right now, but we also need to add the Zipkin dependencies here. Okay. So I would like to just add the Zipkin dependencies now. Now this is my pom.xml. I'll copy from here. Now these are the Zipkin dependencies. One is a Zipkin server dependency. Next one is a Zipkin auto configure UI dependency. One is a Zipkin server dependency. Other one is what? Zipkin auto configure UI dependency. Okay. Now these are the two dependencies. Next we have to make the Springboot application as a Zipkin. We use annotation called @enable Zipkin server. the second one. First one is deprecated one. Second one is now in place of the first one, we got the second one. So we choose second one here. Zipkin 2.server.internal. From this package, we have this enable Zipkin server. Okay, right. Next, now we need to just have application properties. In application property, just like normal as application property, server port number. And one more thing is for Zipkin, we also need to add, Springboot Actuator dependency. Now, okay, Springboot.actuator is not required. I kept in comment, it's not required. Okay, Actuator dependency is not required. But there are some additional properties required here. I will show you. Apart from server port and context path is optional, but we also need to add some additional dependencies now. Spring dot main dot, yellow bean definition overriding true. Next one is management dot metrics dot web dot server dot auto time request false. Management dot endpoints dot web dot exposure dot include is equal to asterisk. Okay, now these are all what we need. Are clear? We'll start with that. We'll add all these things. Port number can be any number. It may be 9411 or it may be some other number. Doesn't matter. Okay. No? Now these are the actually I think these last two dependencies are not required. If required, again I will add. Okay, because I have removed that actuator dependency. Okay, by default maybe Zipkin is using that. Okay, maybe I think that's the reason why I have added. We'll keep it like that. Application properties are okay. Server port number is 9411. I am not adding any context path. Okay, for Zipkin I am not adding any context path. With the Zipkin properties are set. Next, coming to microservices, we are going to add a sleuth dependency. That sleuth dependency generates additional log statements by giving trace ID for each request and giving a separate span ID for each path of the microservice. So we have a trace ID and a span ID, right? I would like to open the all microservices, call details, customer, friend, plan, like that. And we add the dependency for sleuth dependency. Just we add a sleuth dependency. And also we need to add some two additional we have a bootstrap properties file. In that file also we'll see. Now first I will add the sleuth dependency. This is the sleuth dependency what I'm going to add here. This is a Spring Cloud Starter sleuth dependency. So of course in each microservice we have to add them. Somewhere in the dependencies we add the sleuth dependency. Spring Cloud Starter sleuth dependency. This dependency required in all the microservices. So call details added here. I will add in customer. I will add in friend and plan details. Okay, now. I would like to add this in customer. Next one is in friend. And the last one is in So we have plan details, friend, customer, and call detail. These are the 4 microservices what we have. Okay. Call details, customer, friend, plan, all these things. The 4. Let's start with. Next, coming to other properties now. We can add in either application or properties file. Otherwise, we have a file called bootstrap.properties file. Your choice, any one. I will tell you the meaning of them. First of all, we need to set the Zipkin URL. This is a Zipkin based URL we need to set. I'll tell you the meaning. Look at this. Now suppose this is bootstrap.properties file. Here I am adding Zipkin server base URL http://localhost:9411. Localhost:9411. http://localhost:9411. Next, Spring Sleuth sampler probability 1 means. Actually, here 1 indicates its meaning is you want to export 100% of the log statements generated by Sleuth to the Zipkin server. Right, that is what 1 means 100%. Suppose if the probability is 0.1, it's meaning 10% of the application logs generated by Sleuth. Sleuth component generates some logs. Only 10% of the logs are exported to Zipkin server. Okay, 10% of the logs are exported to Zipkin. If you're at 0.1, probability is 0.1. If the probability is 1, then what? 100% of the logs are exported to the Zipkin server. Okay, now. So my requirement is whatever the additional logs the Sleuth is generating, I would like to export all those logs to Zipkin server. Okay, na? That's what the meaning of sampler probability 1. So 1 means 100%. You can't write more than that. Only 1 is the highest. The value of the sampler probability must be in between 0 to 1. You can write 0, or even you can write decimal point value 0.01. Only 1% of logs. Right? Otherwise 0.1, 10% of logs. 0.5, 50% of logs. So if you write 1.0, nothing but 1, then it's meaning 100% of logs. The Sleuth is generating those logs you would like to export to Zipkin server. Okay, na? Right. Let's move on. We'll start with. Now these 2 properties are required in not only one microservice, in all the microservices. So I'll open the bootstrap properties of customer. Next I will add it in either application or properties file or bootstrap properties file. I mean, I'm not telling that exactly you must and should add only in this. Okay, I'm not telling like that. Your choice. Either you can add either in this, or otherwise you can add in what? You can also add in that application properties file of your choice. Now this is friend. Now this is plan details microservice. Almost to all the microservices we added. Okay. Next, of course, the order of starting the servers. Config server, Eureka server, Zipkin server, independent. But Zuul is a client of Eureka, so Zuul must be started after Eureka. All the microservices can be started after cloud config and Eureka only. Actually, these are the common properties now. What are the common properties now? Sampler probability and Zipkin based URL. Actually, I'm adding in bootstrap properties file. The original process is what? Because these are common for all the microservices. You have to open GitHub repository. In GitHub, you have application or properties file, right? And you are just going to add these properties in the application or properties file created in GitHub repository. Here I directly add in bootstrapped properties file, but because these are common properties, so we are adding them in. We are maintaining those common properties in a GitHub repository, right? So that is the thing what you are going to understand here. Okay. There is one more thing I would like to tell you. Nice. So I would like to start all the servers now. Now this is my cloud config server. It's going to start now. The cloud config server is started. Next we will like to start Eureka server. Next one is Zuul server, Zipkin server, all the servers will start now. Okay. Zipkin server also independent, we can start it anytime. We start on the port number, Now Zipkin has got an error. We'll check for that. Application failed to start. This is Zipkin actually. This is Zipkin port, Zipkin console. Something Zipkin health indicator. The attempt was made from the following location, but it did not exist. Composite health indicator. Loaded from this jar file, so Springboot Actuator. So I'll try to add the Zipkin server is failed now. Zipkin server is not started. I'll try to correct the class path of your application so that it contains single compatible version of Springboot Actuate Health Composite Health Indicator. Okay. Springboot Actuator 2.3.4.release.java. Okay. I'll try to add that actuator dependency also. In the Zipkin form.xml, because Zipkin server has got some exception. It didn't start. This is a Zipkin server. Next, I'll try to start the Zipkin for one more time. Still we are getting the same exception. Means the Zipkin server is not started. I'll try to start the Zipkin again. an issue with the Springboot version 2.3.4. Zipkin and the 2.3.4 version of the current version of the Springboot, both are not matching. Only for the Zipkin server, this is a current version of Springboot actually. This version of the Springboot and this, the Zipkin, I think both are not compatible. So I think I changed the version to 2.17.release as the Springboot version to make it as compatible. Correct. So I would like to start the Zipkin server for one more time. I'm trying to first update the project. Anyhow, we are not getting test cases. I'll try to delete that. I'll try to just have an update. I removed that src test.java contains a package, not that one. I removed it. There is an issue with the test case. Okay. Now let us start the Zipkin server. Right? Now Zipkin server is started, no exception. Start on the port number 9411 without any context path. Of course, I have not had any context path. Okay, port number is 9411, right? Nice. 9411. Zipkin also server started port number 9411, and all the microservices we can start. Zuul server we can start. Okay, now. Next one is what? Okay, this is started Zuul server. Now all the microservices we can start now. Call details will start. Customer will start. We'll start. Right, this is a friend. So if you look at all the servers are started, their port numbers and all. Now just to know whether applications are registered with the the Eureka server or not, I will start with that. Okay, na? Let's move on. Right. So HTTP localhost colon. I think 626 is a port number, no? Now all the micros. Now HTTP colon double slash. Okay, this is a Zipkin. Now here is a service name. You are funding all, but actually right now there is no request center. That's the reason why you are not funding any service names here. Okay, na? Now you don't find any span names also here. Span names means endpoints. Okay, and you are not finding any log back. If you want to look back since from 1 hour of request, you can set 1 hour. Or if you want to get 3 hours, 6 hours, 12 hours, 1 day, 2 days, 7 days. Otherwise, custom means you can specify the date and time between starting time and ending time. Okay, na? And finally, you can just click on the find traces. Are you getting my point? Right. This is called Zipkin dashboard. 9411 is a port number of the Zipkin. Okay. And if I press enter, 9411, if I press enter, then automatically what happens? This is the Zipkin dashboard what we got here. What really we will like to do is next we will try to send a request now. So one of the, for example, in call details we have a microservice called call details running on the port number call details microservice running on the port number 7171. We can send a request to get the call details information, just only to see. Then you will find in the tracing, you will find out what are the microservice executed for that request. Right. Observe clearly. See, HTTP localhost colon 7171 call details / phone number. So we got some call details now. Okay, that is good. But these are request center. Actually, only one microservice executed. For request, one trace ID, and for each path, one span ID. Look at this now. I'll refresh the dashboard. The logs are exported. Even you can find even on the console also. For example, I would like to show you. Sometimes it print on console and may not be, but we'll see. Right. There is nothing printed here, but you can see in the dashboard. Refresh the dashboard. Just refresh once. Now see service name. Previously nothing is there, only all is a default value there, but nothing is there in the drop down list. I think one annotation is at the rate enable Zipkin client or something, is annotation missing. That's the reason why it is not finding anything in the Zipkin. So I will add that annotation also. Just a bit. Okay. No annotation required, nothing. Fan clients already added, circuit breaker, these are all we added. Actually, nothing is required. See, okay. Call details, we got the call details, and even in the call details, we added all these sleuth dependency. Let's wait. We need to add sleuth dependency. So we have added a sleuth dependency already. Oh, Zipkin dependency missed out. This dependency missed out, okay? I mean, in all microservices, I need to add this dependency, Zipkin dependency. Nice. That's the reason why I'm not finding anything in that. Okay, no problem. I will only the microservices I need to add now. I'll stop all the microservices again and add. Okay, no problem. I'll show you now. I'll complete this now. So this is form.xml. Sleuth dependency we added for generating those logs. But to connect with the Zipkin, we also need to add the Zipkin dependency that is missed out. That's the reason why I'm going to add that dependency also. This is called Zipkin dependency, right? Now, the Zipkin dependency required in all the microservices. Infra and in plant details, okay, in all of them. The Zipkin dependency missed out. I'm adding that dependency now. Only sleuth I added, but along with the sleuth, I also need to add Zipkin dependency. Okay, now. Okay, look at here. I would like to simply uh, first of all, I would like better. I would like to stop and start. Okay, better. Means I'll restart. I'll stop and start now. Okay, now this is call details now. Start. Next one is customer. Then I'm going to add friend. Next, I'll start the plan. Finally, I'm going to show you how the Zipkin dashboard is working. Nice. Now the plan details is also sorted. Okay, right. Now just if I refresh the dashboard, you can find that all the services are registered. There's a Zipkin right now, the Zipkin dashboard. Now here I would like to send a request. Okay, now here I'm sending a request. Now I'm just going to uh, just refresh once. I got the response now. Now go to Zipkin dashboard. 9411 is a port number, and just refresh the dashboard once. Now see the service name. You'll find here call details. Right, previously nothing is displayed. Now it is call details. Call details microservice. What is the span phone number? Get HTTP get method / phone number is the span. Nothing but endpoint. Look back for 1 hour or custom timings, whatever you want to say. So here I'm not adding anything else. So by default it's there in 1 hour. Just find traces. Click on the button. Now it is showing 1 of 1 services. Only one service executed. Call details. And the time spent 286.687 milliseconds. Okay, less than a minute ago. And if you want to see the entire details, you can just click on that call details. Now you can find out here when you click on that. You can see the services executed call details, and the endpoint is the span is get / phone number. The total time taken is 286.687 milliseconds. Okay. Next, I would like to send a request to customer microservice, because customer is going to call friend microservice and plan microservice. View profile port number is there. Now we'll send a request to that. HTTP localhost : 7474 is a port number now. / customer details is a context path of the customer microservice. / view profile, / phone number, right? 900 100 2001. Okay, na? Enter. Now you got some information, but see the Zipkin dashboard. Just refresh once. When you refresh once, now we can see the service name here, customer details, friend details, plan details. Why these three are displayed now? Because when I am calling customer microservice, friend microservice is called and plan also called. Say for example, customer details I wanted. Service name, customer details. And spans now. See view profile by phone number. Find traces. Now see what are the microservices executed: customer details executed, friend details executed, plan details executed, right? 1, 2, 3. Three application services executed. And the total time spent is 1.726 seconds. It's not milliseconds now. Means I mean I can tell you now 1 second, 726 milliseconds totally. So 1.726 seconds are taken to execute this. If you want clearly, you can just click on that. Now we can see here customer details, friend details, plan details are executed, the services. So in customer details, the time spent is totally 1.726 seconds taken for this endpoint. In that, for execution of the friend, it is taken 367.935 milliseconds. This endpoint executed from friend, and this endpoint executed from plan, it is taken 317.9793 milliseconds. So combinedly, this 367, this 319, and plus this 345 is totally taken 1.726 milliseconds taken to execute this micro. Totally 3 services executed. You can see how many services executed. Duration 1.726 seconds. Services 3 services executed. Depth 2. Depth 2 means this service executed 2 services. So depth 2. Okay, total spans 3. This is the one span, means one endpoint. This is the another endpoint. This is another endpoint. Totally 3 spans. 3 endpoints now. So 3 spans. Okay, na? Like this you can find in Zipkin. This is the Zipkin dashboard, which can tell you about all this information. Okay. So the purpose of the Zipkin you identify now. Okay, it will tell how much time taken at each microservice for each span, and what are the services executed, what are the endpoints of the service executed, how much time is taken to execute each that endpoint, how much time spent. All this information you can find out through Zipkin. Okay, na? Here I'll conclude, but tomorrow once again I'll explain a little bit. Then after that we'll see how you can deploy these microservices onto the cloud environment like AWS. Okay, na? Tomorrow I will start with that. Tomorrow I'll start with that point. Okay, right. Today, for the time being, I'm just closing it immediately now. And tomorrow I will tell you one more time. I'll explain about this. Then followed by next how to deploy this microservice application onto cloud platform. We'll find out first of all what is that AWS. Okay, right. Okay, that's it for the session for today. Okay, we'll have a continuation tomorrow's class.